everyone, and welcome back to the Beyond the Big Six channel. I'm Connor Bromley, and today I'm here for the weekend review. Yes, there is still one game to be played, but it's Monday, so I feel like we should put something out to talk about the games from the weekend. So starting from our end, because we are Beyond the Big Six, we saw Brentford lose against Chelsea 2-0. I don't think Brentford were particularly bad in this game. I think kind of just Chelsea's quality in the end in the final third shone through, but Brentford missed some chances and probably feel a little bit aggrieved that they didn't get something from the game. But they're not going to be devastated, to lose 2-0 away at Chelsea. It's not exactly an embarrassing result, is it? So, for them, it's about bouncing back in the next game and continuing that strong home form. So Brentford lose 2-0 there. A really big win at the bottom, though. Leeds beating Fulham 1-0. And when I saw the Leeds team, missing Anton Stack, missing Jacques Abiol, I did sort of worry that this might be a game too far for them, but they found a way. Not a good game, not a ton of chances. I think Leeds did edge it, though. I don't think Fulham played great. And Leeds find a way of getting the winner late on, Nemecha. So at the bottom of the Premier League, that is a significant result for Leeds, especially when we talk about some of the other results from the Saturday afternoon. And I think Leeds are just showing exactly what a newly promoted team wants. I know there's obviously a lot of chatter about Sunderland and how they're doing, but that can't overshadow what Leeds have done this season. And I think Daniel Farke are changing the way that they play, getting them to be more pragmatic. I think he deserves a ton of credit, and I think Leeds are on course to survive quite comfortably this season, in all honesty. So really impressed with them. Big 1-0 win against Fulham. These are the games you have to win when you're fighting at the bottom of the Premier League, and it won't be too long before we start saying that Leeds aren't fighting at the bottom of the Premier League. Unless they go on a bad run of form, which to be honest I don't really see. I think Leeds will be okay. And for Fulham, I think this is a disappointing result for them. I think they'll probably come away from it annoyed and irritated that they went to Leeds and didn't at least hold on for a draw. Probably calmer though for that winner they got against Leeds earlier in the season. So yeah, for Fulham, not too worried. It is what it is. You can lose these games in the Premier League. And for Leeds, a massive, massive win. Burnley got a draw at Liverpool, and Burnley have started picking up just points. 1 point, they're picking up a few draws. They've not won for ages. I don't think they've won since the end of October when they beat Leeds. So it's not going to keep you up, but it does show that they've got fight in there. Is Scott Parker the best man for the job? Well, I think that's the big question. I'm not sure what the answer to that is, but I don't think anyone could really probably keep this Burnley team up. And the fact that he's still got them scrapping is good. And yeah, it's a good point. It's probably not going to mean much in the grand scheme of things. I still think Burnley look destined to be relegated from the Premier League. But it's a point. It's a good draw at Anfield. You can't knock that. And yeah, they'll be happy with that. And it does give them a little bit of momentum. And if they can win the next game, then who knows, maybe they can start to get the cogs turned and drag some other teams into this Premier League relegation scrap. Spurs lost against West Ham 2-1. And this is huge at the bottom of the Premier League. West Ham, they've looked doomed, absolutely doomed, and they find a way to get a win here, a deserved win, probably in my opinion. I know the cogs were turning at Tottenham towards the end of the game. Look, they might get it, but West Ham find a way. Wilson nearly won it moments beforehand as well, and then he does eventually win it. It would be criminal if they let Wilson go on a free. I don't understand that, because he can score big goals for them. He can be a threat off the bench. He could probably nab 3 or 4 goals from now at the end of the season off the bench. So I would keep Wilson at all costs, but this is a big win, and it's momentum for them. Momentum for them in the grand scheme of things in the Premier League season. It's a 4th win of the season, and if they can win next time out against Sunderland, which I think they'll fancy themselves in, then they really throw the cat amongst the pigeons at the bottom of the Premier League and drag some other teams in who probably didn't think they were in trouble right now. Sunderland, though, speaking of, they beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Palace probably the main talking point from this, and if you watch Match of the Day you'll see that, because they didn't talk about Sunderland at all. But if we're going to talk about this from the Sunderland perspective, another good home win, still undefeated at home. Pretty incredible to be heading into February for Sunderland, because the next game is in February at home, and they've still haven't lost a game. In fact, only Huddersfield in the League Cup have left the stadium victorious this season. But yeah, Sunderland I think deserved it. They were a much better team in the second half. And, they just continue to truck on. And they've got 33 points now. I think you'd have to say that they're in a battle for the top 8 this season, which means they could get Europe. And that's just an incredible achievement for a newly promoted team. And especially with AFCON players coming back. Habib Diarra is going to be back for them soon, which is big. Very, very big. But Crystal Palace, they were the talking point. Oliver Glasner having a meltdown pretty much at the end of the game. Looks like they've patched things up. I don't think Oliver Glasner, though, with the comments he made after the game, should be staying around at Crystal Palace. I think that he should have been finished after that. But yeah, it's not good for Palace. They've not won for a long time. I think that's 10 now without a win in all competitions. They were so bad in the second half of this game, didn't create anything. Even when they were chasing the game, didn't create anything. And the captain's leaving. The manager doesn't want to be there, it looks like. So there's a lot of negativity going on at Crystal Palace right now. They've obviously got too much in terms of points on the board to be dragged in any sort of relegation scrap, in my opinion. But it is concerning where Crystal Palace are right now, considering the positivity they had at the end of last season when they won the FA Cup, they won the Community Shield back in August, and a really good start to the Premier League season as well. And now it feels like it's all kind of unravelling a little bit at Crystal Palace, which is a shame because they've had, a pretty good run of it the last couple of years, and Glasner's done a pretty solid job, but it just feels like that marriage is going to end in quite a messy divorce. But they do have some good players coming back, and Saar will be back for next weekend, which will be a big boost for them because they miss his creativity going forward. Forest got a 0-0 draw against Arsenal. I'll be happy with that in the grand scheme of things. It's a point that you don't expect when you're playing the best teams in the Premier League. So Forest will be happy with that 0-0 draw there. They didn't create much themselves. They didn't really look like winning it. But they find a way to pick up a big point. So a 0-0 draw there for Forest is good, especially with the other results at the bottom of the table this weekend. If they'd lost that game on Sunday, we saw Wolves draw 0-0 with Newcastle United. And this was a strange game. I mean, it wasn't very entertaining, to say the least. I thought that both teams lacked that clinical edge in the final third. Newcastle had a ton of territory, created very little, didn't have many shots on target, didn't really have any clear-cut chances, and it's kind of just the way Newcastle are on the road. They're quite controlling in the game, but create very, very little. And Wolves, had a threat on the break, but again, they didn't look like winning the game. But for them, it's a good point. It keeps them undefeated this year. They're not going to stay up. I think that we can all sort of accept that. But they are showing fight, and that is important if you're a Wolves fan. It's important for Rob Edwards because it shows that he could be the manager to lead them next season. If they just continued on that wretched form before the new year, then you may have to make a change there heading into next season. But if they can pick up points and play like a lower mid-table team from now to the end of the season, finish with, say, 20 points, something like that, then at least you'd say that he did manage to get a tune out of them and would be able to build them back up. But for Newcastle, a really disappointing result. And with the amount of games they've got coming up, they have to be picking up points against the teams that are bottom of the league away from home. That's the reality if they want to finish in the top 4 or 5 this season. And it just feels like right now, sort of one step forward, one step back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Newcastle is just so up and down at the moment. But yeah, disappointing result for them. And then probably one of the biggest results of the weekend, really, apart from West Ham's win against Tottenham. Everton go to Aston Villa and win 1-0. And Everton have been in wretched form recently. And, I think most people probably looked at this as a home banker, but as the game went on, Villa created very, very little in it. Pickford made one unbelievable save in the second half, but other than that, wasn't tested a great deal. And I think Everton were pretty good value for the win here. James Garner, I think he picked up the man of the match mode, but I thought he was brilliant in the game. And Tiano Barry scores a lovely goal. I think it's a Garner shot that's well saved, and it comes to Barry and he dinks the keeper. It's a brilliant finish from him. Really difficult in the position that he was in. So I thought Everton were good value for this win, and it keeps them just ticking along nicely. I think they're on 32 points now. Yeah, they went from 29 to 32 points. They're well in the hunt for European football, which I think David Moyes deserves credit for. They're probably really irritated that they've dropped silly home points over the last couple of weeks, but it's a good win for them. And for Villa, probably ends sort of their title dreams, I would say. I know Emery was talking about how they're not even a top 5 team, they're not contenders for it. Clearly trying to take the pressure off his team. But yeah, if they'd won this, it would have went 4 points behind Arsenal. Now they're 7 points behind. You'd probably say that, they've sort of blown any chance they had of winning the Premier League this season. Not that that is a negative that we were talking 22 games in about Aston Villa being title contenders. So let me know what you thought of the weekend's football. I apologise that I've got a little bit of a cold. The voice isn't as strong as normal. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to the channel as well if you enjoy this video. We'll catch you again soon.